It's a horror. It's a horror. When your father is brutally murdered, shot in the head, stabbed in the face, stabbed in the head, it's a horror for a family.
And as a family, you basically were saying your farewells for a few days already. You knew that the end is near.
Yeah, this terrible terror attack took place 2 weeks ago on bus 78 in Jerusalem. And my father was brought into the intensive care unit at Hadassah Hospital in critical condition, fighting for his life for 2 weeks. His chances were fairly slim, and we were by him the whole time. We had some amount of time to prepare ourselves for this tragic end.
It's your private event, the family there at the hospital, but we understand that from throughout the world, people were supporting, praying.
My father, he was an educator, an elementary school principal, wrote a book on education called Teaching is an Act of Love, was extremely active on Twitter and Facebook and other social media in terms of promoting his educational ideals. He had students and friends from all over the world who were writing to us, who were calling to us, literally thousands of people, hundreds of churches and synagogues where people were praying for him. It was overwhelming. I could not respond to everybody. I couldn't even keep up with it. It was so empowering.
Now, this terror victim, your beloved father, was a man of peace, of coexistence.
Like I said, he dedicated his entire life to educating children and to coexistence. My father marched with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the early 60s, took part in sit-ins and freedom rides, and when he moved to Israel, was equally active in Jewish-Arab coexistence. He was a believer that people can work together in peaceful ways. And on a personal level, I think he was right. And I think his legacy is these thousands of people who are reaching out and who he touched their lives and helped improve their lives and taught them to be better people.
But the fact that he was killed in a terror attack, doesn't that shatter the dream to some extent?
It doesn't shatter the dream because I look at the wonderful outpouring of love, and I see that what he's done for people has come back to him and to us tenfold over. What has been tragic in the dream that has been shattered is my view of progress. He used social media in such a peaceful and wonderful way to spread ideas about education. He had thousands of followers on Twitter. But as I looked at his attackers and I looked at the posts that they put on Facebook before the attack, putting their will to be a shaheed, to be a martyr, and encouraging others to do so, having that spread around on Twitter and on Facebook and on LinkedIn, I realized that there was also an evil face to social media, and I realized that social media has reached a level where incitement has run rampant. I spent the past 2 weeks holding my father's hand by his bed, praying for him, feeling for him, but I also spent a lot of time researching and thinking about what's going on. And I saw the massive amounts of incitements, of instructional videos that show people how to split stomachs open, how to cut veins, how to create injuries, inciting people to do this. That's really at the core of this current intifada. These hundreds or tens of people running around, randomly stabbing people brutally in the street. It's a result of incitement that is passed along and is strengthened by social media.
So you joined throughout these days the petition. You also joined in the name of your father, who was struggling for his life those days, the petition against Facebook.
Correct. I first of all, I recognize the problem, and as I think others have and have begun to speak about and write about, the fact that social media, these social media mongrels, the owners of Facebook and Google and YouTube, have become so powerful that they have to take responsibility for their actions. If they can publish something, if they can allow insightful material to be published on Facebook and have it impact millions of people and have that create terror, which then has brutal effects on people like my father, an elementary school principal who was riding a public bus home from his doctor in his retirement, then they have to take responsibility for that. And so we joined as lead plaintiffs in the case that Shurat Hadin filed. The case was Richard Lakin versus Facebook, and it was filed yesterday in the court in New York.
Do you feel that it's mainly a statement, or is there actually a chance that something could change?
Well, I'm certain that things will change, because if you study social change over the years, you'll see that there's a build-up which reaches a tipping point when people start to have opinions about something specifically, and those opinions start to grow, and then they start to take action. And we're at a point where enough people are talking about this and other people are understanding the problem. The change will either come by self-regulation, if Mark Zuckerberg will have the guts to stand up and say, even if it costs me a few dollars, I'm going to police myself and I'm going to take care of this, I'm going to take down this incitement, or whether the courts will will instruct him to do that, or whether the government officials will understand that there needs to be new regulations and law to do this. I'm certain that it will be dealt with, and it may take 6 months, it may take a year, but a change will happen.
So now, as a bereaved son, do you feel that you want to continue and struggle, or do you feel like, let me alone with my grief at this point?
You know, I've been dealing with my grief for 2 weeks, and I'll be dealing it for years to come. But I think they're independent issues. I think that people can manage multiple things at the same time, and this is a critical issue, and I intend to keep working and struggling with this issue and promoting it in hopes that it can be dealt with, because it killed my father. And it's killed other people, and until we deal with it, it will kill many more, and it's endangering our country, and I think it's generally endangering the Western way of life. It needs to be dealt with.